Hi, I want to talk to you a little bit about an experience that I had with some ministry work that we had done. Our church, I would say, was probably about 10 or 15 years ago. We had a project, and it was called the Communicycle Project. And the church kind of had a heart to do ministry, but we were in such an affluent area that we decided that we wanted to move to an area that really needed our help. So about 15 years ago, our church uprooted and moved to a new location. This location was in a place called Buford, and Buford didn't have a lot of people there, but had a lot of people that were in need of transportation. And so the transportation that these people used was the use of bicycles. So what we did after we moved to this location, the pastor, he and his wife, and several of us moved to Buford. And this was a community that had a lot of people from many different countries, just a lot of people that just loved this place. It was a beautiful place. And so after we moved there, we decided that we were going to start this bicycle ministry. Now you may think, why a bicycle ministry? Well, there are several reasons. First of all, transportation. These people just couldn't afford it. Not many of them had a driver's license, and if they did, then they weren't able to afford a car. And if they were able to afford a car, then they weren't able to afford the car insurance, as we all know can be very expensive. So we would hold weekly classes on how to fix bikes. We would give bikes to children, young children, and they would disassemble them. And then we would teach them how to reassemble the bike. And the reason for that is that way they could take care of their own bike. Now, they had a bike shop there for a while, but the bike shop wasn't very successful because they were so expensive. They were charging between $50 to $75 an hour to fix bikes, and of course, that's very expensive. You could almost buy a new bike. The bikes just weren't worth $50 to $75 an hour to repair, so these people could just buy a new bike. The transportation, the public transportation, was very poor. There was not a lot of it. And again, nobody really could afford to take the public transportation. Now, I decided to go as well, to move as well with the church to do ministry, not necessarily for the bike ministry, but I went there to kind of help the families. It was nice that when we would get together with the families, talk with the kids about their bike, teach bike safety and rules, but also there were a lot of single mothers with children. And that was my job, to kind of get to know the families as we met with the kids and they came to these workshops and classes, that I got to know their mothers. And then we could find out what the family was in need of. So if they were in need of food, things for their children, diapers, clothing, we would then take care of their needs in that way. The other thing that we also did was to help with the ministry, which was for a book bag ministry. Clothing, not clothing, but it did include clothing, yes, for schools, but mainly was called a book bag ministry. And what that would be is that on a week or two before school started, we would have a bicycle training, because a lot of kids rode their bikes to school. We'd have a bicycle training, and then also we would have a school book bag giveaway. And we would fill these book bags with a lot of different supplies. And then the kids were well prepared to go to school. Now the bicycle ministry is still going. It has taken off. The kids take care of their bikes like they're their cars. But it's not just children that ride their bikes. These are also grown adults that ride their bikes. The town is very small, and where most people work is within bike riding distance. And their weather year-round. They don't get much snow or rain. As a matter of fact, they don't get any snow, maybe rain. But it's warm enough year-round that you can ride a bike. And I would imagine that gas stations probably don't do very well in these types of communities because there's just not much of a need for it. So in Buford, there was probably, I think, 2 local gas stations there, and it's just, again, because of all the bikes. So when we did our bicycle ministry, we had bikes of all different sizes, small, big. We wanted everybody to feel welcome, and so we didn't want anybody to feel left out. So we also did kids and their tricycles. But the younger they are, and you train them on how to take care of something like that, they grow up to learn how to take care of those things. So it was awesome. I no longer live in Buford. I have since moved, but I do know that the ministry is still going strong there. And as a matter of fact, they even talked about branching out to other locations to also do the same bicycle ministry. So I think this was just a wonderful ministry. I learned a lot from it. I asked God to bless me so that I could bless somebody else, and He did. And so, if you ever were wondering, maybe if you wanted to start some kind of a ministry, you might want to consider something like that because it was such a blessing on the people of that community.